Okay, this presentation is on the social media best practices for the Radford University School of Communication. Basically, what we did was we went over and looked at a lot of the literature, a lot of the basically practitioner suggestions for universities and colleges, and then also looked at other universities and colleges and what they're doing for social media, the best practices in social media. So looking at the thing that almost everybody says is you need to establish social media objectives before you do anything. You have to know what to accomplish through a social media campaign before you ever start putting strategies and tactics in place. And you also have to be specific about what you want to accomplish and focused on those specific actions and not broad general goals. So for example, you do want to build relationships with advertising agency creative directors in Virginia, rather than just stating you want to build a strong reputation for the School of Communications advertising concentration. That's just one example. Again, another one might be building building up a network of organizations that you would like to create collegial work with in terms of research, rather than trying to build the research productivity of the college or of the school, I mean. So that's just something you've got to be very specific about what you want to achieve and not be overly general in what you're trying to do. Along with that, I mean, rather than two, it really should be 1A. You have to really research your target audience. You've got to understand your target audience and how they use social media. The 18-year-old high school student looking for a college to apply to is going to use social media different than a 60-year-old alumni who would like to visit campus and talk to your classes. So you have to design your social media campaign around the target audience that you're trying to reach. So you should analyze your current social media visitors to the school social media pages, and you don't want to treat every social media site the school currently uses as the same. So if you want to reach the high school student that's researching colleges, you might want to create an Instagram page that's going campaign around them that's going to reach those students. Get your current students to contribute to that page, and we'll get to that in a minute. But you do that differently than, again, if you're trying to develop a relationship with alumni to get more involved with the college or with the school. You're going to do that through different social media sites. So you have to measure, you have to target the goal with the target audience and match that to the correct social media site. So understanding that target audience is vital. Again, develop a content creation and curation plan for your social media pages. You got to first put someone specific in charge of the social media creation tasks and give that person assistance. This can't be a part-time job. It's got to have some oversight, and it has to have some continuity built into it. You got to have social media posts almost done on a daily basis, and you should be also letting the audience create content for you. Again, getting the social media, getting the audience to create content is going to make the social media site more engaging. So again, Do post platform specific content to your social media pages. Make sure that you're putting video where video belongs, putting memes where I mean, you got to put the right content in the right place. You can't just have a Facebook page. You can't just have a Twitter page. You need to use all of the different things. Have a LinkedIn page to help you with job placement of the students. I mean, do those kinds of things that gives value to the social media, to the students, to the alumni, to the faculty, to the staff, to those just interested in the community. Don't ignore posts from your followers on social media. You got to recognize them to remain loyal to your school on social media. And again, they will create content and make the social media sites more interactive. What's going to turn a high school student off more than a social media site that just sits there? Again, you also have to extend your social media strategy into your digital communication strategy. Use keywords from the school's website in your social media posts. Also, reference all of those media pages, social media pages, in the email and traditional media tactics used for the school. So you want to build this all together. You can't just have one or the other. You need to have a digital media strategy along with a social media strategy. Again, the School of Communication is part of a bigger organization, both the College of Humanities Behavioral Sciences and Radford University. So you have to utilize the university's resources for content and policies. Again, the School of Communication is part of a bigger organization. You have to use those organizations for content and for guidance. Students are students of Radford University and the School of Communication, as are alumni or alumni of both. So you want to make sure that those ties together. So do follow the branding guidelines of the university. Obviously, you shouldn't be breaking the guidelines that the university has set forth in branding the university. Use the graphics departments of both the university and the college. Follow the social media guidelines of the university, and how the university wants its organizations and departments to develop the reputation of both the department and school, and thusly of the university. Don't try to recreate everything that's already been developed. Again, a lot of the graphics, a lot of the material has been created already by the university. And you've got other departments within the school and communication that are creating content that you can then use and repost and applaud the efforts of. Um, so that's something that you have to look at. And then finally, you've got to develop a measurement strategy when you develop your social media objectives. When you develop those social media objectives right at the beginning of what you're trying to do, you should also develop a plan to measure the success of the social media plan. So measurement just doesn't come as an afterthought. Measurement is part of the whole process. You should plan for how you're going to measure when you're putting together on what you want to achieve. So you need to utilize the social media analytics built into the systems being used by the School of Communication. So we're using several different things, Node Excel, and oh gosh, yeah, it'll come to me in a second. So you utilize those systems that we have to measure with. Use the correct analytics for the objectives that you're trying to achieve. And then finally, don't just use likes as a default measure of social media success. Don't use just a high number of followers as a goal to achieve. You can have a lot of likes, but not really do anything if your followers aren't active. I mean, you could have all the followers in the world, but if they're not contributing, then you're the leader of a parade that really isn't going anywhere. So those are just some of the best practices that the School of Communication needs to develop when it starts to redefine its social media campaign or social media plan. Um, so those are just some of the social media best practices for the School of Communication at Radford University. References that we used. We looked at Brown University's social media guidelines and best practices as Clemson University's. There the article through Hootsuite, what are the best social media strategies for universities. Also looked at North Carolina State's universities social media best practices. There was an article through Falcon.io that was the 10 smart higher education social media marketing strategies, as well as Northern Lights PR and marketing and how to create a social media strategy for the universities. And then also we looked at University of Cincinnati's social media strategy. So again, you shouldn't just recreate. You should see where things are being successful and what are the best practices out there according to practitioners. So that's the social media best practices for Radford University.